I'm an educational game developer. And when I tell people about that, I get kind of curious looks. Really? You make educational games. I mean, what does that mean? And people really don't get it because the two words never really seem to fit together, education and gaming. And I kind of knew this growing up, and I think we kind of all, we do. This thing we call education's over here. And generally we go to this place over here to get educated, and we spend maybe 6 to 8 hours a day getting educated, and we actually have to take a break from that and go play. We need to have a break from this thing called education and go play. It's kind of odd. And I kind of felt this as a kid growing up, and I kind of still feel this today. Why do these two things have to be separated? Why are they different? Why is play sort of a break from education? It's kind of interesting. And this is the kind of work that I do now as an educational game developer, and I work with some of the most amazing, talented people who are scientists, they're teachers, they're artists, they're programmers, and we create some pretty amazing things. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the actual games that I make, but I'm going to be talking about the reason that we actually are dedicated to this. One of the exciting things is, on my next slide. There we go. All right. One of the things that's really exciting is that, in the theme of today's talk, there is a very powerful revolution happening in education. There is a massive change happening. And what we're moving from is this very traditional sort of setup that we had, this sort of rigid structure of teaching, and it's being transformed by a massive and rapid influx of technology. It's being hammered down on the education system, and all these interesting things are starting to happen. It's making a lot of people very uncomfortable. Because the old way of doing these very organized things, it was great. It was neat. It was tidy. We could measure it. We knew exactly what we could do. We could standardize the whole thing for everyone. But what we're moving to is this new framework. I'm going to try it. There we go. This new framework, and we call it blended learning. And it looks beautiful. We have devices like mobile phones and tablets. We have content streaming from everywhere in the world. We're doing all kinds of different things. We're playing games. We're building communities in digital spaces. These are things that have never really happened in the education system. It's tearing down the walls. It's happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But ultimately, we don't have a clue what we're doing. And everyone is just sort of staring around like, who uses a cell phone in class? All right? Who's told they're not to use a cell phone in class? Case in point. We're kind of just spinning around, not really understanding what's happening. But what I see emerging from this is incredibly powerful. And the one point I want you to focus on is the concept of personalized learning. When we're using all these different techniques, and game-based learning is one of them, I'll talk about that, but what's happening is that we are creating such immense amount of data in and around our behavior, what we do, how we learn, that we can start to deliver on personalized learning. What it says is that every single mind in this room is different. We're unique. We function differently. We learn differently. Our education should be tailored specifically for us. And this is what's actually happening, and we can start to do this. Now, I make educational games for a variety of reasons. One, they're fun. Who doesn't love playing games? They get you excited. They get you engaged. They get you to participate. Games have become the most popular form of entertainment, not because the content, because they're designed to engage with the way we learn. We're all born into a bright, vivid, noisy world. This is how our minds are designed to learn, in full, true multimedia. Games are an important component to that. But what games do that nobody really thinks about is they are an incredibly powerful data capturing tool. They can provide a sense about a learner that we never had before. And all of it is building up to a concept that we can finally say that you are not the sum of a letter grade. That your report card should not dictate where you can go and what you should do in your life. That functionally these things are meaningless. And what's really important is what you can create, how you can collaborate, and what you can do. This is the wealth of humanity. This is what you all have, is this innate ability to create. And this is how you can affect change. So this is what blended learning is all about. It's about bringing all this this world of technology together with content and actually starting to deliver on this concept of personalized learning. And gaming is an important part of that. Why? Chess is a game. Anyone play chess? All right. Chess, we think of it as entertainment. It's a 6,000-year-old serious game. It was developed to teach military strategy. It was developed to do one important thing: understand and teach and assess critical thinking and creativity. Can you sit down again in front of your component, know them, and be able to defeat them? This is what games are bringing to education. We're doing this now, and we've been doing it for over 40 years. This is nothing new. And the stuff that I do with my team, again, we're not inventing this. We're just bringing it into the education space. And it kind of works like this. Training pilots as a very important component to this. In the late 60s, we started to use simulators to train pilots. Why? It wasn't about learning how to take off and land a plane. It was about one of the most important characteristics you'd want a pilot to have: critical thinking and creativity. It's about using a game-based simulation so that when you're at 32,000 feet and something goes wrong, I can think critically about what's going on, I can stay calm, be creative about a solution, and do it in 3 minutes. A structure like an educational game can both teach and assess the ability to think critically and be creative. That's what the power of it is, and it's really exciting. And what started in training pilots has filtered into so many other aspects of training. Oil rig workers, doctors, and surgeons. It works, and we've been doing it for over 40 years. But when you're making an educational game, there's a couple important components. There is a simulation. And the simulation here is the board, the pieces, the players, the rules. It's the simulation is the part of the game where you connect, where you communicate, where you share, you collaborate, and information exchanges. Whether you're talking about chess, you're talking about a computer game, it's the alien ship, it's the mutant invasion, save the Earth, or you're talking about a game like soccer. It's the pitch, the players, the rules, the balls work together to put the ball in the net. Believe it or not, this is actually the easy part of educational game design. And there's a lot of parallels to the real world in this. The hard part is understanding, why do I care? Why are these two creatures sitting next to each other enjoying this game of chess? Because they are awesome. Good answer, thank you. This is what we refer to as gamification. Who's heard of this term? Okay. There's a lot of debate around this. And everyone seems to be talking about gamification. We're going to put points on everything, we're going to slap badges and everything, and it's going to change behavior. And ultimately it fails. What gamification is a structure built around the simulation that's designed to incent behavior change. Why do these two characters care? Why do you care about anything? Why do you care to play a game? What drives people to play soccer? There's so many things that go into this. I love the feeling of mastery. I've been playing this for 10 years and I can bend that ball. I love the feeling of working with my teammates and winning that game. I love the fact that I'm out, I'm getting exercise and having fun. I get paid a lot of money to play soccer. It's not about whether you find this appropriate or not. The point is that everyone has their own set of rewards and challenges, and this is what gamification is all about. If you do this right, you have to truly understand your user, understand the players of these games, but truly be able to balance those internal and external reward systems. And it's an important component. And I talk about it because when we look at things like education, it's actually kind of a game. Now, many of you will be going to university, and no disrespect to anyone who teaches at university, I do, and it's kind of like a game, and it kind of works like this. You pay to get into the game, and the reward at the end of the game is a piece of paper. The game usually has about 3 or 4 levels, and in each level you have about 5 or 6 challenges. There are point rewards. You have to get through the single challenge. To do that, well, everyone has their own way of doing it. But the point of this is that most of the players who play this game actually don't want to play the game. They want to be doing other things like playing soccer or playing video games. And the game's actually getting in the way of their life. And what you see is they'll spend as little time as possible. They'll save it all the way up just before that exam, and that's when they invest to get through the level. The game is designed to get the piece of paper. But if we change the game, if we change how it works, we change how they play. If the game is about what you create, how you collaborate, the sum of what you do and produce, we can change people who are working through the system to those who are actually involved, engaged, and creating. This is really the real power of what we can do with this. Now myself, my little story, I grew up in the 80s, which is pretty much the dawn of the home computer console, and I played a lot of video games. Yes, everyone knows that game. Does anyone play Super Mario anymore? No? Yes, okay, fair enough, there we go. So yes, and even in my day, this was considered a horrible waste of time. And there was the epidemic when I was a kid of Nintendo thumb. This was actually a clinical condition of kids' thumbs cramping up from playing too much of this. But somehow I managed to get through this, and I went to school, and eventually I went to graduate school and earned a PhD in molecular genetics. Clearly, you can see how that leads into making computer games. But, a little too far there, but the point that I want to make here is, let me back up here. Oh, there we go. Oh, one more time. Okay. The point I'm trying to make here is that in this journey, it was incredibly difficult for me. I was a horrible student, and school was a struggle. And I spent so much time trying to figure out how to do this over here that I started to not be able to enjoy this over there, the play. And I lost something. And as a kid, I was a very creative kid, and I see this in kids. And somehow, many of them, when they go to school, they start to lose this. And this is the important wealth of what we all have, our ability to create. And I lost it. And I didn't get it back until I was a graduate student. I didn't wake up till then to see what had sort of transpired. And that's something I want to change. And to give you an example of this, this device, probably no one will ever recognize, it came from a store called Radio Shack, of course. So my parents bought me this for my 8th birthday, and it's basically this little electrical work kit. I love this thing. I was able to create with this thing, and I spent 2 days solid building a rain detector, and I wired it up, and I got it wrong, and I rewired it again, and I kept going until I got it right, and I had 2 wires that I had to feed ever so carefully outside of my bedroom window, and they were very close together, so that when that first raindrop hit the 2 wires, it would complete the circuit, the lights would go off, the sound would be made. I knew it was raining. It, of course, was not. It was pointed out to me that one could just look outside and see that it was raining. But the point is that I enjoyed the process of creating so much. It was amazing. And within that process, I was allowed to try and fail. And I had the freedom to succeed and create and experiment. This is incredibly important. And this is what educational gaming has to bring to all of us. This is what this framework of blended learning has to offer. It has the ability to bring things together, bring technology, bring people, bring communities together, and allow us to play and engage, try and fail, and encourage real creativity and critical thinking. It is only through that process that we will ever have the tools to be able to look at the world around us, to be critical about what's going on, and to be creative about solutions. There are a lot of problems ahead of us, and I think we've got some of those things. We've heard about a number of those things today. And it's only it's going to take creativity to solve. It is our job, an important job, to ensure that the world that we are creating, as we go and become leaders and become teachers, are fostering a world of critical thinking, of creativity. This is the challenge I leave for you. Thank you very much.